This isn't your first podcast, though. Obviously, you've been on
Many.
way bigger
Multiple,
ones.
yeah, exactly.
Way bigger ones.
We're the
Yeah.
babies of
Right.
it.
Well, no, my first ever interview was Tucker Carlson.
That's
That's
crazy.
Which is
crazy.
funny back last March.
Nerds.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so for the audience who doesn't really know you, you kind of want to tell us why Tucker Carlson would want to like speak to you.
Oh, so yeah, so last March, that was basically my first interview. I was on Fox, basically, just kind of explaining my story of so I'm a Team Canada powerlifter who basically had to compete against a man in my sport. There was a biological male. I don't really say biological male anymore. I just say man. Came into my powerlifting sport. And this was actually, it came into my sport in Canada, but it was actually happening in the United States previous to it happening in Canada. And so basically I was outspoken about it, and I received a 2-year suspension from my federation for speaking out about it. So Tucker Carlson and Fox News got wind of it, and so basically, yeah, Tucker had me on his show. So that was that was like the kind of the first interview of all interviews,
Yeah.
and it was a very tense one to have because everyone knows what Tucker Carlson's all about. So
100%.
I think I handled myself very
And
well.
what was it that you said that got you banned?
It wasn't the Tucker Carlson interview that got me banned.
Mhm.
I did a couple other interviews after that. So what happened was I actually wrote like my federation a couple letters explaining to them what was going on. Basically, there was a male competitor competing. They ignored my letters, and so I went out to social media and I was basically just saying stuff like, save women's sports, keep men out of women's sports. And they basically came back at me and said, hey, April, you can't post stuff like that. That's considered hate speech.
Like the federation?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And just simple words like save women's sports.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, well, no, that's my right to express myself. I wasn't naming any names. I was just basically making a statement. And so they gave me a warning. And so I was like, well, no, you can't silence me. I wasn't saying anything wrong. I wasn't inciting hate. I wasn't being hateful at all. So I kept on using my voice. And then Pierce Morgan, that was the show that actually asked me to go on. I was actually in London, England at the time. So Pierce actually had me on their show.
Mhm.
And when I was explaining what was happening in my federation about having the male competitor competing, and that actually was in August of last year that the male competitor went to the regionals and stole 2 out of the 3 records and actually won the whole competition by, I think it was 400 pounds that I was explaining to the host.
Mhm.
And I referred to him as a man. That's the sentence that basically gave me the 2-year ban. They said, you can't say that. That's, it's horrible. That's discrimination. And so they gave me a 2-year suspension, which, mind you, is a same kind of suspension one would get for, say, doping or
Yeah.
being caught taking steroids or something.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you first decided to speak out, like, was that hard? Was that something that you had to contemplate for a while because of all the backlash?
Well, you know what? It was so when I did find out, because this person, I had been friends with this person and I didn't know that they were born male.
Mhm.
So I had been talking to them for about 2 years online because I met them during COVID. So it was like an online friend that I had.
Mhm.
And so when they came out and told me, of course it was hard because I was friends with them
Mhm.
online,
Yeah.
right? And of course when I came out and told people, I didn't want to do it in a mean way.
Yeah, it was another
Didn't want to
maliciousness.
hurt their feelings. I wasn't doing it to be malicious. I was doing it out of the love for my sport because I wanted my sport to be fair.
Yeah.
I think every sport should be fair.
Mhm.
That's why they have male and female categories.
Mhm.
So when I did find out, when they actually confessed to me that they were a male, I did sit with it for a while. But I did tell that person, I said, I'm going to speak up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be quiet. And they didn't like that. And they blocked and they deleted me. They didn't want anything to do with me. So in that just that instant, that hurt my like, I was kinda hurt by that,
Yeah,
right?
of
Because I
course.
thought, "Well, I'd like to have a conversation with you about it." So I couldn't talk to this person anymore, so I sat with it for, like, a week, and then I said to myself, "Well, I'd rather speak up because I'm not sleeping now. It's bothering me too much. I just can't let this go." So I knew there'd be ramifications. I knew I was gonna either, people are gonna call me a bigot, they're gonna call me transphobic, they're gonna call me names. I might get in trouble. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'd rather have fair sport, and see what happens,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I have two little nieces, right? Like they're 2 years old and 6 years old. I'd rather have them have a future of sports than, whatever. I didn't think I was gonna get suspended,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
but, and that's what happened.
W-
So it
When
was
you
more important. Like I couldn't live with it. I felt like not dirty. I felt like I was living with a lie. Like
Hmm.
it's like how would you feel if you were like cheating on someone, right? Like I just felt like you're
Yeah.
holding a dirty secret in. I didn't feel good about myself, holding it in basically.
Yeah.
when you wanted to come out with it, were there a lot of people that advised you not to?
No, like there was like everyone around me. Like, I mean, I like to say that I hang out with good people.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's kind of like if you line up all your friends against the wall, they're all pretty much reflect who you are as a person, right? So all of them agreed with me that it's important to tell the president of the federation.
Yeah.
I emailed like all the board members. Also, I confided with Riley Gaines. Like, she's one of my good friends now. Um, the head of athletics for Alberta, Dr. Linda Blade, she's been very outspoken. Even before I spoke out, she's been like a godsend to me. She helped me. Tennis Olympic pro Martina Navratilova, like all these Olympic pros have been helping me. Like they came in and like gave me advice on how to handle it.
Yeah.
Um, People that have been speaking up for years, right? Because this isn't just a new thing that's been happening, right? This has been happening in sports forever, even in the Olympics, right? This has been
Yeah.
happening, right? So they gave me advice. I also have a good lawyer. I had a human rights lawyer that helped me and how to deal with it as well. Um, but other people, I mean, no one ever told me, "Oh, don't speak up." No one ever said that,
Hmm.
right? But there were athletes that were like, "Oh, I just don't wanna speak up, I'm too
Yeah.
scared."
Mhm.
Maybe because they have a job that they just felt like they didn't wanna be open about it. Because some people worked in the government,
Yeah.
um, some people worked in gyms, and they had clients that were maybe transgender, and they didn't
Yeah.
wanna get involved. Some people just don't wanna get involved,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there are athletes that were like, "You know what? It doesn't affect me, so why should I speak up?"
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But it's crazy
people
how something like
yeah.
that can have you like held by the neck. You could lose your job if you say something, even though
Yeah.
if you think it's your truth, and you can explain, like you can justify the reason why you think, like, men shouldn't play in women's sports, like, what I mean? To some of us it's very obvious. But like if you can justify that, like I don't see how that's like wrong. And why you should
Yeah.
lose your job. Like it's we're not like a herd mentality, like where we all have to think like this. Like I thought Canada was like a free country, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like, I did have trans activists go after my job, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And, again, like I said, I don't like to talk about where I work or what I do,
Mhm.
but I do have a job where I'm held, accountable. I am in a public eye, and, I did have trans activists go after my job, and, and I did talk to them, and I said, "Look it, I treat everyone fairly. I've never incited hate. I actually, I have, friends that are in the LGB community. I also have friends that are transgender. You know what I mean? And a lot of my transgender friends agree with me.
Yeah.
And many in the LGB also agree with me.
Yeah.
That men
Mhm.
should not be in women's sports.
Mhm.
And actually go to the lengths of saying like men don't belong in women's locker rooms and bathrooms.
100%.
So when the trans activists say went after my job, I actually sat down and I said, "Look it, this isn't about hate. This isn't about not liking a particular group of people. It has nothing to do with that. This has to do with fairness in women's sports. And it also has to do with integrity. It has to do with safety as well, right? So this is my platform. This is what I'm passionate about. I'm looking out for myself. I'm also looking out for other females and also for little girls,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
100%.
So that's what all I'm doing, right? So they can say, "Oh, I'm targeting the queer community." Sure, you can make a complaint, but this is I mean, and they saw that. They know what I'm about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you can look through all my tweets. You can, I tweet. My Twitter's open. People can my Instagram is open. All my
Mhm.
profiles are open, and I stand behind anything that I tweet.
Yeah.
So, if I had to hide, I don't have troll accounts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think anyone that does know me knows I'm a very loving and a very compassionate person. I do a lot of volunteer work for people with mental health issues, even in London, Ontario.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And do you think the needle has moved in a positive direction at all ever since you've took on this stance?
oh, big time, yeah, sorry.
Is it?
Yeah, huge. I was just talking with that the other day on another podcast was um the shift of energy just in this topic alone has been massive because even like 2 years ago, remember Leah Thomas, the
Yep.
swimmer,
Yep.
when he swam, you had about, I don't know, one person in the audience point out that he was a male swimming, right? I think
Yeah.
one woman was like, cheater,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
cheater swimming. And everyone else was applauding. But then about 2 months ago, there was a track and field runner, a teenager, I think he was about 16,
Yeah.
17, in one of the most liberal states in the United States. He won gold. He took it away from all the girls. And all the parents were booing him
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they were
I
angry.
think I saw that clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was by a big margin too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were booing. So
Yeah.
they were angry. So parents are angry. People are picking up on this.
Yeah.
And people are standing up now to it. So
Yeah.
there's a big, big shift. And I mean, not just parents, but like athletes too. There's
Mhm.
been tons of events where women are boycotting. Like there was a track and field meet where the girls just showed up and they didn't compete. I mean, there's a lot of pushback now, which is really, really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever feel any remorse, like making the step to like after you did your decision by speaking up? Like,
Never.
never?
Never.
Okay.
No, I've said this many times. I've even tweeted about it that I would do this all over again in a heartbeat. Um, I would take the suspension. I would, you know, if I never compete again, I don't care. I would speak up again. If it was a 10-year suspension, I don't care. If I don't compete again, I don't care. If that means that men stay the heck out of women's sports, then I would do it.
Mhm.
As long as I get, if it literally changes policies and it changes and so that my little nieces can have fair sport and safe locker rooms, and then great. That's it. This isn't a me thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is not about April Hutchinson. This is about all the little girls out there. And I'm talking about public schools too,
Yeah.
because this has to happen. This isn't about even the national level. This has to happen in public schools. So that's why, like, at the grassroots, like, little girls, even 5-year-olds need to know the differences between boys and girls. They should be like, girls should be competing against girls in grade 5. None of this blending, right? Like, I mean, there's fine. If you want to go into a co-ed, then that's your choice to enter a co-ed. But you
Mhm.
shouldn't be forcing little girls to be competing against boys, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, even when I grew up, like, I was always the fastest runner, right? I remember people would pay, like, they would like have little bets, like, oh, put April, let's watch April compete against the fastest boy. Let's see
Yeah.
who wins. I would always lose, but it was close. But
Yeah,
they would
yeah,
have
yeah.
bets, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'd always lose against the
Yeah.
fastest boy. But
It's funny you say that because I remember back in the day, like, yeah, the fastest girl and fastest boy, the boy would always win, but it would always be close.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it always made for like a good, like, fun bet.
yeah.
Yeah. Where did you think, where did you build this courage from? Like, were you always just courageous your whole life, or like, because it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing.
Um, well, I think like probably from my parents. Like my dad, he's a retired police officer, and I mean he's got incredible integrity, and he's just installed like such great morals, and like he's always the one to always step up. And even when he was retired police officer, right? Like, I mean, I think you're always a police officer. But, like, I remember we'd be driving around, and if you saw something happening, like an assault, like someone doing something wrong, he'd pull over, like, and he'd be like, "Quick, call the cops!" And like he'd like
That's
or
funny.
still do the citizen arrest, and like
Yeah.
But he always just he's just an honest, honorable man. And then I think my mom too. She's just always a good person. I mean, she passed away when I was younger from cancer, but I think just her fighting spirit, like battling cancer, she was just a tough woman. And I think this from my parents, right? And I think, and my desire to always want to help people, right? And I think like, and that's why I'm saying like I'm a very selfless person. I just this was never about me, right?
Hmm.
Like I could have like when I found out about this person competing, I could have just brushed it off and just kept on going just
Yeah.
for my own selfish needs, just to get my numbers and just to go in it. But it wasn't about that, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it was just about the overall love of sport and just to want fairness and just about being a woman, right? Like we worked so hard to get where we are today, just for our rights, right? Just so
Yeah. In regards to like the policies and the rules, I guess like the are they like transgenders are still able to participate in women's sports right now? Like men are still allowed to play in women's sports, right?
So yeah, so the good news is because I used my voice,
I love to hear
because I
this.
spoke up, the policy was changed.
It was
Really?
changed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so when I spoke up, so at the time I found out the male was competing. So the viewers will find this is crazy. So the time the male competitor was competing, the policy was that any man, so you guys could literally sign up for a competition
Mhm.
and be like, you know what? I feel like a woman today. You could go into the competition tomorrow as a woman,
Mhm.
check off the box female, compete. You could take the records, you could compete and just crush it.
No analysis or
Nothing.
Nothing.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
really.
Doesn't it?
Nothing.
Okay.
No proof, nothing. It's just on a feeling because
Yeah.
basically gender is a feeling, right? No, you don't need proof. You don't need to get sex or your gender affirming surgery. Nothing.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
You basically this essentially because that's what people are confused of. Sex and gender are different, right? So
Yeah. I
gender's
don't
a
understand that.
feeling, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't understand it
I know
personally.
people are very confused by it. It's
Yeah.
just if you just equate sex with biology, it's like so gender
Yeah.
is just a feeling.
Yeah.
So basically, if you feel like a woman tomorrow, then you're a woman,
Yeah.
basically. So yeah, so
That's
then
wild to me. Like I
yeah,
Yeah, that's the one thing I've always said. I just don't have an understanding of it, and I don't think I will. And like,
yeah.
right, because it's just as you said, there's sex and gender, but are they not are they mutually exclusive apparently now, or
Well, the government has made that. So that's why Trudeau has now made gender, he
Mhm.
has it now protected in under the bill C-16, right? He's now protected it. So basically what is there now 72 I think genders. So, like say non-binary. Non-binary is like, oh, I don't identify as male or female. Like no. Like
yeah.
Yeah,
You
people
can't
are
do
gonna
that.
argue with me or not, but there's two sexes. There's
yeah,
male and female. You're
Yeah.
born
yeah,
either male
Yeah.
with XY chromosomes. I mean, there's also there's chromosomal disorders
yeah,
because you
like
can have XXY. Like there's different, but those are chromosomal, very rare disorders.
yeah. It's
Okay.
not
And I'm not even
everybody.
gonna go down that road because I know people are gonna be like,
Yeah.
but there's XYY and there's this and this. And
Yeah.
then there's this chromosomal disorder. Now we're talking about a point zero, like a very, very
Yeah.
minuscule amount of people,
Yeah,
right?
Literally.
Because they'll try to trick you. They'll try to get you down that road, but there's male and there's female. So
Yep.
there's XX and there's XY, right?
Yeah.
Male, female. But then there's 72 genders. And now we have feelings. And people are going to start grouping even, we're not going to get into Furbies and all that. People don't
Oh,
really
I was
cast.
so,
The
yeah.
furries and
I was about
stuff,
to bring up the
But
Furbies.
no, but there's the non-binary and like
Yeah.
people that don't feel like
well, we even
a
too.
man or a woman and stuff. So
We had a friend whose wife's a teacher, and she was actually saying like now they have to put in a litter box in the washroom
yeah,
because of stuff like that.
and I
right?
don't know, like I've heard that from other sources too, and I don't know if and you know what, and people can have their own opinions on this stuff, but you know, to me, and it has been deemed, it is a mental disorder. It
Mhm.
is a mental disorder. I mean, gender dysphoria has been around forever, for very long, or body dysphoria, and so I mean, it's been around for a long, long time. But so and now it's gender dysphoria. But I mean, it is deemed a mental disorder.
Mhm.
And I'm not being mean by saying that. You can look it up.
Yeah.
It is. And it's mental illness. And I mean, and it's I'm not being mean by saying that.
Yeah.
And
No.
it's unfortunate that we are celebrating it, we are promoting it instead of treating it, and it needs to be treated.
Yeah.
And we're not doing that. We're actually just kind of promoting it, and it really needs to be either diagnosed. But I mean, for me, and I've talked a bit about this on podcasts, is that like I could have easily like when I was a kid, like I was sexually abused when I was 5, right? So after I was sexually abused, I wanted to be a boy
Mhm.
after because that helped me deal with my sexual trauma because I thought, well, if I'm a little boy, no man's ever going to touch me again.
Mm-hmm.
But that was my little 5-year-old brain
Mm-hmm.
protecting myself,
Mhm.
right? Well, I didn't realize that until now, until all this transgenderism stuff came out, right? Because I was like, but 40 years later, I'm like, holy crap, that was my 5-year-old self trying to protect myself, right?
Yeah.
But think of all the kids nowadays. Like, I hate when I hear parents saying, like, oh, my 5-year-old's trans. I'm like, no, there's no
Yeah.
such thing as a trans kid. That's
Mhm.
called unresolved sexual trauma. That's
Mhm.
called bad homing environment. That's called child abuse. That's called bad parenting. It's a whole slew of different things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
100%.
So,
And I remember my
yeah.
dad told me one time that like the cheapest form of expression from a human is emotion,
Yeah.
because then like you're not using logic, you're not using reason. So like if I'm emotional and I'm mad at you, I'm going to start punching, right?
Yeah.
That's just based off emotion.
Mhm.
So the fact that we just kind of said that like gender is like based off how you feel, it's on emotion. No wonder why there's 72 of them. But
Yes.
but how like that's being like expressed by the most cheapest form of the way we express ourselves. So
Yeah.
it just doesn't align, in regards to
No.
core thinking and like being reasonable with the way you act.
Yeah,
It's-
no,
yeah, it's-
exactly.
It's weird.
And it's sad that, that's why I'm so happy. Like, for example, you have Danielle Smith, Premier Danielle Smith in Alberta. Like, I think I don't forget what the age is, but she's bringing in legislation so that the gender affirming care, I think you have to be not 16 or is it 18 now? But you have to go through puberty. Your brain is still
Mhm.
developing,
Yeah.
right? I think she's actually being quite lenient with, I think it's 16, but at least till 18, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
let your
100%.
brain go through it. Because I mean, even Dr. Jordan Peterson said like a lot of them are like, I know one person like that, a lot of them are gay males, right? But like
Mhm.
just let them go through at least,
Yeah.
I'd say at least until 20, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are suicidal, right? But then they end up transitioning, and then all of a sudden they transition and then they come out and they're like, oh shit, I made a mistake.
Yep.
And then they end up being suicidal afterwards anyways, right?
Mhm.
Or a lot of them are being cutters, like they'll cut themselves before and then they come out and they're like, crap, they're suicidal, and so I just and I feel, I mean, for them, I mean, it's a mental illness, and I mean, I do, like I said, I have friends that are transgender,
Mhm.
and I have lengthy conversations with them, and it's sad, and some have transitioned, and some are, I know one that is a detransitioner,
Mhm.
my good friend Kelly, and you know, and it's fun. It's funny. It's a funny story with her. I traveled across the West Coast with her. Um, so she was born female, right? And then she wanted to transition into a male,
Yep.
right? Prime example. And she took the hormones, and then she ended up being suicidal,
Mhm.
right? And she wasn't happy with the transition. And she thought she was a lesbian, and then she turned out she wasn't a lesbian. Now she's just a straight female.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But she had a beard and she had everything, and she's trying to go back to being a female, right? So now she has no hair now. She's bald because of the hormones that she took.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But what a sweetheart. I love her. She's one of my good friends. But we were in the store the other day, and her driver's license looks like she looks like a male.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And but her name is Kelly and stuff, and so we went, and you know me, well, I don't know if you know me, but I don't use pronouns. I don't believe in pronouns. I
Mhm.
don't
Mhm.
Yeah.
use them. But the guy at the counter was like looking at her driver's license, and then she was
Crazy.
looking at her, and he was so confused.
Mhm.
But there was a prime example with, he called her sir, and I was like, it's a she. Like, I was like, yeah, it's a she.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, but here I am going like, here, I don't use pronouns, but I was like, no, it's
Yeah.
like,
Because
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
when
yeah,
you're
it's-
close friends.
but I was
right?
like, here
It's
I am. I'm like, I can see why people do get,
Kind of heated by it.
get heated about it,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
like when it's someone close to you. Because here I am online going like, I don't use pronouns, but
Yeah.
so I was like, you know what? I got a taste of my own medicine, because
Yeah,
here
no.
I am. I was like, so I kind of, it was good for me to see that, because I'm always big on like anti pronoun. But then I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I can see now. So it was a good wake up call for me
Yeah. Yeah.
to be maybe a little bit more like not respectful, because I don't give into
Yeah.
the language,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
to
Just-
maybe be more understanding.
I agree too. Like I
and more
don't
compassionate.
I don't use
yeah.
pronouns too. I don't
Yeah.
agree with any of that stuff either. But like you said, if you have like a relationship, like it's all, at the end of the day, every human
Yeah.
is supposed to be loved, right? Like so
Mhm.
so if you have a relationship with somebody who goes through a process like that, then I could see how you build that emotional kind of just to defend
Yeah.
them. But like, yeah, it doesn't mean you agree with it. But it's funny how like it's weird how it kind of
Yeah.
woke you up like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so my friend, is very famous. Well, Rory had Buck Angel.
Oh,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I'm really good friends with Buck.
Okay,
So
cool.
I'm getting together with Buck in Los Angeles in August.
Okay.
So and Buck loves me. I love Buck. And so obviously we know Buck was born a female.
Yep.
But I just can't get over the fact that Buck was a female. So and we joke about this all the time.
Yeah.
So I just call Buck a he all the time because I just
Yeah.
can't get over it. But I tried to, and all my feminist friends, like my hardcore, like my group, were just like, they're like, April, you gotta stop calling Buck a he. It's a she. Stop it. I was like, I know, I'm sorry. I'm like letting my own rules go. I know, but I'm like, but I just love Buck. And I just call Buck, but I do call Buck a he, but I was like, this looks like a he. Like you can't, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just,
yeah.
like the beard. But
Yeah.
so that's another time where I actually do call Buck by his pronouns,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I was just like, even though I know it's a she, born she, but I was just
Yeah.
like, it's just, whatever.
That's funny.
See, but I think that's like the kind of beautiful part of it is like
Mm.
you have that understanding. You're not so like kind of driven on like the one track, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because there's some people where like they're just kind of stuck so hard deep in their ways where they're not willing to like actually just kind of be compassionate. Where they're like,
Yeah.
And I think that's where I think they try to attack always. But like for you, you kind of have such a neutral perspective. It's like, yes, this is what you believe, but also too, it's not like you're doing it out of a malicious or an evil way, right?
No,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. And that's where, like, I think that I mean, I don't like to use the word transphobic because I
Mhm.
think that word's kind of like gone out the window now.
Oh, yeah,
People
yeah.
have used that word so much it's gone. But no, and I think that's when it starts getting a little bit hateful and like
Yeah.
narrow-minded, and like I'm always open to hearing like other people's sides of stories, and I'm not, like I said, I don't have a hateful bone in my body. And no, I think it is nice to like God, like no, I like there's many times where I like honestly, even like with the transgender the male competitor in my sport,
Mhm.
like when I first started speaking out about this, I mean, I haven't told a lot of people this, but like when I first started talking out about, there was many times I actually cried at night because I worried about him and
Mhm.
I thought about his mental health and I thought I hope he's doing okay through all of this, right? Because he got a lot of hate,
Mhm.
and backlash, and I'm sure people messaged him and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, I hope he's like, I was fearful. Like, I
Yeah.
thought, oh, I hope he doesn't try to take his own life.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was just worried. Like, I was like, and I don't cry a lot
Mhm.
over, I cry over like animals and like this and that, but I don't cry a lot over people. And I was very upset and I did cry. And I only told a few people that,
Yeah.
but
And that's
yeah.
something that's interesting that I didn't know about that whole story and like how you knew the person beforehand. You
Yeah.
had like a online, like, like friendship
Mhm.
beforehand. And then you just stuck to your truth and what you felt was right. I never knew that. Like, it speaks a lot like about like the tough decision you had to make. And it wasn't just like,
100%.
oh, I found out somebody in like a different part of Canada is doing this. I can go tell everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we talked for like a year or two
Yeah.
during COVID because there was no competition. So we were like online and I helped him a lot with his like powerlifting because he was new, right? He was
Mhm.
like, well, he was competing, but he had really bad form. And I was trying to, he wasn't even using a belt when he was lifting and stuff. I was like, you should use a belt. Like,
Mhm.
I can't believe you're deadlifting. I was like, get a belt. He was like, oh, you think I should get a belt? I'm like, yeah, like do this and do that. And I was helping him.
Mhm.
And then and we were talking about Laura Hubbard in the Olympics, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're letting, like, guys in the Olympics."
Mhm.
And then that's when he was like, "Well, I'm a guy." I'm like, "What?"
Mm. Yeah.
So it was, like, literally by fluke, I didn't know, right?
Yeah, it
So
wasn't like
Yeah.
a probing thing.
no.
So when you said like the policy did change, what is like the new
Oh, yeah,
standard for
sorry,
it, right?
we
No,
got
it's
lost
fine.
off track there.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. I just remembered it, and I did want to actually like talk about what is the new policy change now.
Yeah, so yes, the old policy was that you guys could just go on, any man could identify and just compete. So then I wrote the International Powerlifting Federation, so the governing federation, which is ruled under like say the IOC, the Olympic, like the huge committee, right?
Yep.
So they're the ones
Mhm.
that make the rules. And I said, "Hey, this is what the policy is. Like, what do you think about this? Like, this is just crazy, right?" And I said, "So there's men lifting, there's a men competing with women." So they actually wrote to my federation and said, you have to follow the governing body federation policy, which means that any basically, I guess, transgender athlete or male that wants to compete at a national level has to basically be monitored for a year prior to competing, has to have their testosterone levels monitored, has to remain lower than 2.4 nanomoles, and also has to submit their psychological records from doctors.
Hmm.
So, and also has to be regularly monitored for 4 years.
Okay.
So, men can compete at a local level, so grassroots level.
Yeah.
So meaning that you can go to like a little local competition, but if you wanted to start competing at regionals or anything that qualifies you for like nationals or higher or worlds or North Americans or anything like that, that's when you have to start submitting
Who do you
your
go to if you
records.
want to address the local? Because like you said, it's the grassroots that's the most important,
Yeah.
right? So like,
Yeah, you know what? That's that's the Canadian Powerlifting Union. That's their decision. That's the board's decision. They're the ones that gave me my suspension. They've decided that they're gonna let men compete at a local level. So that's the board. That's their decision.
yeah.
As far as anything higher, that's the International Powerlifting Federation. They have stated that they agree with me. They are protecting women in sports. Is the policy perfect? No. We're hoping that in time, especially after these Olympics, because I do know that they're studying this Olympics because I've
Mhm.
talked to the doctors on the board, the Olympic committee, and they said after this Olympics, they are going to study what's happened. And let's hope that next Olympics, a lot of these sports that they're actually letting men into are going to be gone. Like they're not going to, it's
Yeah.
not going to
And
happen
this is
again.
the one in Paris, the one coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year, what
There's
year
a,
is this one?
there's a lot of
It's
sports where they're
this
letting
year.
men.
Oh,
It's this year.
basically.
It's
Yeah.
no. Yeah, this year it's happening,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
is it okay?
Yeah, it's happening in 3 weeks.
And
Yeah,
how many
wow,
men
so
are
it's-
participating in that?
I don't know because they don't have to self-declare.
True.
They don't
Yeah.
have to.
True.
They don't have to let people know.
Mm.
But I did make a post because I want I want the Olympics to be boycotted because it's ridiculous how many sports they're actually letting men allowing into the sports.
Yeah.
Like if you go to my Instagram and Twitter, I put a big video out of and I listed all the sports that they're letting men basically enter the sport, either with no policy or with just the ridiculous testosterone monitoring, which is very easy to beat.
Mhm.
Like 2.4 nanomoles is very easy. So any man, for example, my boyfriend could take testosterone, and as soon as he goes off of it, you guys could
You
take
crash it,
testosterone,
yeah.
you crash, your test levels go below 2.4.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's very easy. So,
Yeah.
but so what happened was Anne is the first name of the male powerlifter in my federation.
Mhm.
He wanted to go to Worlds and he applied. So he actually did make the testosterone levels. He passed it,
Yeah.
but he did not submit his psychological records.
Mm.
So, and that's the clincher right there is that there's a lot of men out there that probably will make the testosterone levels, but they're not submitting these records, which is the major part because there's a lot of male what they call male grifters out there
Mhm.
that just want to win prize money,
Mm-hmm.
especially in cycling. There's a lot of prize money involved, but just want to dominate sports. They don't want to
Yeah.
dominate women. There's a lot of misogynists out there that just want to
Yeah.
win. So
Yeah, and like you said, like even like the safety for the woman, like even in the change rooms and stuff. And
yeah.
it makes sense to get a psychological report. Like,
Yeah.
it-
Well,
the
there was
most
a
sense.
strongman competitor that got suspended from strongman out in Vancouver. Audrey, his name is Audrey Yun. He was competing at nationals and I brought it to their attention that he was male and I said you need to change your policy. And so they changed it within a week and
Wow.
he had a hissy fit basically.
Mhm.
He knew that I got them to change the policy. So he called me a bigot. He basically made this huge post online about me because I had them change the policy. And he made a big post about how he's so excited to be in the locker rooms and piss beside all the female competitors and made threats to the females in the locker rooms. And so I brought that to their attention. I said, now he's making female competitors uncomfortable
Mhm.
in the locker rooms. I said, you need to suspend him like immediately. So
Mhm.
they gave him a 6-month suspension. So he got suspended. So what does he do? He jumps over to my federation and they actually welcomed him into the Canadian Powerlifting Union.
Hmm.
And now he's competing in the Canadian Powerlifting Union as a male
Yeah.
at the local competitions. And I've brought it to their
Yeah.
attention, but they're like, well, he's abiding by the policy. He's not competing at a national level. He's just competing at a local level. But they're letting him go into the locker rooms and
Yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy.
because our laws protect it, because
Mhm.
Trudeau has protected gender identity and they let him so if you question it, you're the ones, basically gonna get in trouble if you
Yeah.
say, oh, you can't go into my locker room. So as a woman, you can't say, I don't want this man who's pretending to be a woman or identifying as a woman in my space. You're the one that gets in trouble for that.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting because
yeah.
like I feel like there's obviously there was a big movement towards like women, right? Like joining the workforce, like having their own like independency, and then it kind of feels like now it's going kind of backwards. Like if
Yeah.
you're letting men do all this like just women's sports and like it doesn't make sense to me at all. You know what I mean? Like
No.
what are your thoughts on I guess on that, like in regards to like whether or not I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but you get what I mean, or
I'm thinking like where women were fighting essentially for their
Ye-
own like independence, but now it's kind of backtracking where men are now like
yeah. So okay, I get what I'm
Is that
saying
what-
now because you kept on saying that you were a feminist, right? You were a
Mm.
feminist, and then the definition of feminist, I feel like has changed, right? Like feminists, I feel like some people thought feminists were like fighting for all rights, and it became something that it wasn't about. For you, what is being a feminist?
Well, no, I know what you mean. Like
Yeah.
they're fighting like in the beginning, we were fighting for like, oh, the right to vote. And then we were like, oh, we want to be on men's teams. We want to be on the
Hmm.
men's I remember growing up,
the equality kind
we
of
wanted to be on the men's hockey team. Like
Yeah.
we wanted the same rights. Well, no, like in the States, that's why they invented Title IX for women to have scholarships and for women to have women's sports teams, right?
Mhm.
That's why Biden was trying to take away Title IX because we were like, they were having women's sports teams, like
Mhm.
the equality, right?
Yeah.
So, um, I know, and it seems like it's going backwards now, but what the difference is now is, I mean, it's creeped into a whole different thing now, though. Is
Mhm.
that it's now going into our spaces, though. Now it's more of a safety thing,
Mhm.
right? So, and that's what I just said to you earlier was that now it's like, why do I have to go? I mean, like even just a workplace, why do I have to be in fear of going into a washroom, wondering if I'm sharing a washroom now with a man?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Like, why, I don't know what the percentages of how many women have been sexually assaulted. So why do we have to walk into a washroom wondering, having our backs up, being scared, knowing if there's a man in there?
Hmm.
Like, whether he's had a sex change or not, he's still full of like testosterone. Or maybe he's not. I don't know. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if he's had gender affirming care or surgery. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's more like a safety thing, right?
Hmm.
Like, even if you just took the sports aside, we deserve our own spaces. And I talked to Rory about this on his podcast,
Yep.
is it's discrimination because the women's spaces or washrooms in our locker rooms are being taken away. We're not even given a choice.
Hmm.
And it's the same with our sports.
But like, that's the irony though, because it was all about your choice,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
no,
As feminists, that's what I was trying to
Yeah.
get at.
Yeah, I know. But we're not giving, but there's no options. It's just being ripped away. Like
Mhm.
we're not even like, it's like, same with the washrooms. Like I talk about, like, and I'm gonna use names like the Grand Theater. Okay, so I don't know if anyone, like, if you guys been to the Grand Theater recently, but like the washroom has been taken away. It's all like just one gender neutral bathroom now. They're
Did not
just
know that.
everyone's just going into one big cesspool of a bathroom.
Yeah.
Men and women all just crammed in there together. And I said to the person, I'm like, well, where's the women's bathroom? And they're like, oh no, it's all just one bathroom for men and women. And I said, well, I don't feel comfortable going in there. And she's like, well, here you can use the accessible one. I was like, well, no. I said, I don't want to use the handicap bathroom. Why should I have to take that away from someone that needs it? Like this old lady here with a walker or this guy in the wheelchair. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And I'm not sitting my 6-year-old niece into the bathroom with a man.
Yeah.
So you guys have to deal with that. Like,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous. Like, so all you have to do is, and like, there's been other places that, they have a male bathroom, they have a female, and then they have a gender neutral so that there's options, but you just don't take away the female.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's what I said on Rory's podcast. I'm like, that's called discrimination when you take away our option
Mhm.
and force us. And that's why when you take away our sport and you force us to compete against males, that's discrimination.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
100%.
that's and I don't understand. Like all you have to do is do a male, female, and a co-ed league for
Yeah,
sports.
exactly. That's
Literally.
what I
It's
think
just,
so
and
too.
that's what Danielle Smith is doing in Alberta. And that's exactly what the conservatives in British Columbia are doing. This is the bill that I'm working with the Conservative Party. And if they win the election in October, that's the first bill that they're going to table. So let's hope that they win and they
Yeah.
beat the NDPs out.
Yeah.
So, because that's they've been working hard on that, and that's exactly what we need. And it's true, we're going backwards again, aren't we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sadly.
It's
it's
like,
weird, but it feels like at least the pendulum is now shifting in a better direction with like I feel like society in general. Like I feel like a couple years ago, maybe like it was really radicalized. Maybe COVID really messed with people and people were inside. It felt like it was a very like I don't know, like a very woke time. I feel like things are slightly changing. Like people are speaking up a lot more, and especially with like the election coming up in the States, the big one. Like, geez, we almost lost President Trump yesterday. Like, but you know what I mean? Like
oh,
that would have changed the world, like literally. But my point is like if hopefully he stays alive, hopefully he gets elected, and we start to really address these real core issues that it seems like are being ignored.
yeah. Imagine that. I was just like,
It's funny because some of it's like we literally witnessed an assassination attempt live, and it was kind of, as we spoke kind of earlier, was it staged? Was it like who knows, right? But like I think the irony is of like even is it like TV what it's done to us to even think like something like that could be fake, right? Or is it real, right? It kind of leaves you in a I guess like in a misnomer of a like you don't know what happens.
yeah, I don't believe anything I see now.
Exactly, right?
Well, here I was. I'm like, I said to myself numerous times over the last like month, I'm like, I'm taking a break from social media. I'm taking a break. I'm trying to have a summer of April.
Yeah.
Like I just want to relax. And I was so in my Zen state. I was like brushing up on my like Buddhism, and I'm just like relaxing. And then something happened. I forget. I went down. Oh, it was like I don't know if you saw that GTA Skinny Dippers stuff going on.
Yeah. That
So
like
we kind of busted those guys. It was so wonderful. Like we like it went crazy. We had so many people report them and it got like basically shut down. It was awesome.
Wait, what happened? Sorry, you
oh,
want to
this
explain
is
that
Oh,
crazy.
quickly?
so
Oh, this is crazy. Wow.
we found this GTA Skinny Dipper site, and then my friends and I it was posted, and then but we went pretty hardcore on them. We started, and I knew a bunch of people on the Peel Region Police, and then they reported it to their friends on the Peel Region Police, and then I know some other people on the police because I just my
Yeah,
policing
like
background.
just a
Yeah.
I
bunch
know
of
we
like
just went
bunch of naked people
gangsters.
meeting to go into
This has been going on in the 90s. It's like a organized nudist group online, and they have meetings. They go nude bowling, they do nude events, they go to Pride, and they walk around naked. A lot of them are males, but they have like their website has stuff on there like, you know, if you want to take photos, so they have memberships, but like the memberships are like free for teenagers between 14 and 17,
Yeah.
like right at
Yeah,
that stage where they're developing.
yeah.
For couples they're free, and there's like all these instructions. If you want to photograph your kids, there's certain instructions. So like there's naked pictures of kids on their website.
Yeah, it's
Like it's just
crazy.
disgusting.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
pedoing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for quite a while. And it's funny, like years ago people wouldn't think anything of it, but I guess people have woken up to this stuff now, right?
Yeah.
So but anyways, so many people reported it, and I actually had people that I know actually went to the bowling alleys and went to these centers that these events are being held.
Mhm.
Oh, it was just crazy, but it's pretty much been shut down. I know
Yeah.
the website, but I think they're doing investigations too. So, um, where was I going with
Yeah,
this?
you were saying how you were taking a break from social media. And
Yeah.
Oh, I was taking a break from
Yeah.
it, and then I went down, and then I got onto this thing
The
because one thing
rabbit
I do, I'm very passionate about obviously the keep female sports, female stuff, but I am very, very big on the sexualization of children and what they're teaching in schools, just because of my past of being sexually abused.
Mhm.
Because I will say, like, when I was sexually abused when I was 5 to the age of 6, after that happened, um, I was very sexually promiscuous, right? So when I was exposed to that, I remember going around to all the little kids in my neighborhood and wanting to see their private parts. And I was very like curious,
Yeah.
right? And so I just know that like if kids are taught these things in school, they're going to be very curious, right? And especially if their teachers are going and saying, don't tell your parents what you're learning, what you're doing, and they're being very secretive. It's just very dangerous, right? So, I mean, the stuff I was taught when I was in school was like STDs. It was very basic. It was
Yeah.
like human anatomy, da 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 da. Just keep it basic. But like I always check in with my the parents of my nieces. And I'm like, "Hey, do you mind if I call the schools to see what the curriculum is?" They're like, "You go at it, April, because we don't want to do." I'm like, "Good, because I want to. Like, I want
Mm-hmm.
to see what they're being
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
taught." So,
You can do that. That's a good like,
oh yeah,
Strategy.
yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
like get to know your schools, like the teachers, because a lot of the teachers too. Not only do they have curriculum that the teacher or the school have, but also the teachers will bring in their own personal beliefs. So make
Hmm.
sure you know what they're all about as well,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
right? So, yeah, because a lot of parents will pull their kids out during June, during Pride Month. They just
Oh.
yank them right out. Like I would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh
So,
yeah, 100%. Like I have a little sister too, and
mhm.
like I went to go drop her off lunch one day, and like you don't even see like the Canadian flag anymore. You don't even see it was
Ugh,
in June. You don't even see anything anymore. Just these
yeah.
colorful flags, right? And like it's
Yeah.
interesting how that just became the biggest thing. Because I remember like back when we were in elementary school, that wasn't a thing at all.
No, I can't.
You know what I
I can't
mean?
think about it now.
Yeah.
Realistically, no. It was
Yeah,
something
see,
like
And kids are
they talked about it.
the most malleable, right? They're
Yeah.
like the future. Like it's scary what's going on. Like
yeah, so to me, that's a political flag and it has no place in the school.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a political flag.
Yeah. And are you
Yeah.
doing anything to address that in regards to like advocacy, like emailing certain boards or the same way you're doing it for your sport?
Um, no, not like right now. I mean, I have my voice. I mean, I've done certain things, yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah. I'm not gonna touch that one right now.
Yeah, no,
There's
yeah.
That's okay.
there's certain things I've done, but I'm not gonna say publicly, but
Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's
But
it's amazing, honestly, like everything that you have been doing. I guess one question I have for you is with the little like you as a child, would you be proud of the woman you are today and why?
yeah, no, I wow, geez, I would have no idea like the path that I've gone down. Like I keep saying it, it's crazy. Like I would never have imagined I'd be where I am right now because even just I don't like I've never I'm sure you know my story about being a recovering alcoholic
Mhm.
and stuff like that. I would never imagine that like I would be like, you know, an advocate for fairness in women's sports, right? Because it's crazy how I got sober right before COVID,
Mm-hmm.
right? And thank God I did because I would be dead, because it was like great timing because I would have drank myself to death.
Yeah, like
Like
Mhm.
a
if
lot of people did, right?
yeah, it was such a hard time. So that hard time where people like literally addictions got higher, I literally saved my life and I
Mm-hmm.
trained my ass off in my friend's garage. So I actually made it a positive experience. And then when I came out 2 years later, when COVID was over, kind of, and things were opening up, I qualified and I went to Worlds when
Mm-hmm.
things opened up.
Yeah.
So that was a positive experience. And then all of a sudden, boom, this guy comes out and like, it was just like a trickling thing. And then all of a sudden this guy came out and I was like, boom, then I get suspended. Then all of a sudden I'm on Tucker and then all of a sudden I'm an advocate and then I get to help people. So I was just like, I do think more great things are going to happen. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think like, I just want to be a strong female. I just want to be a role model, especially to my nieces. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the best part. Like, I don't have daughters. I don't have children. So, it makes me feel really good that my brother and even the mothers of my nieces say, like, I'm so grateful that you can be a positive role model for my nieces,
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
because I mean, I think that's the best part of it. Because, even I wish my mom was around to see me, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure
Of
wherever
course.
she is,
Looking
Oh
down
yeah.
on you happy.
she's really proud of me.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And to me, life's all about helping people, right? And I hope at the end of the day that people know that whatever I'm doing, I'm really just doing it out of the goodness of my heart. And then I'm just trying to help the betterment of sport and just to help sports. Because, sports helped save my life at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day. They helped me get sober, right? So that's what I care about. It's not about hate. I love all people. I want everyone to be happy and healthy in life.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I just hope people know that about me. So
Yeah.
That's amazing. And you did share some exciting news with us with the band coming up or coming off, right?
yeah.
So when is that exactly that you'll be competing again?
So my ban is gone. So November 6th, I'm no longer suspended.
Amazing.
Let's
This
go.
is so
Let's
exciting.
go.
Yeah.
Right?
I love it when it goes, let's go. So so I don't know if I'm gonna get my membership right away because
Yeah.
I can actually go to nationals in February.
Okay.
And so I've been taking this year just to train and I've told you guys earlier I've lost like 20 pounds and I'm
Mhm.
like feeling great, super energetic and feeling in my best shape ever. So
Mhm.
I just did my numbers the other day and my numbers are super high and like with a lower body weight.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I'm enjoying summer. I'm
Yeah.
going on vacation soon. I'm just gonna, ramp back up in September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll have September, October, November, just yeah, I'll have like 5 months to like peak
Yeah.
before my February, and it's in like Saskatchewan.
Okay.
So
Okay.
That's exciting.
yeah, Saskatchewan in February.
It's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you really have an itch to get back into it? Like, is this something that you really like miss competing at that level?
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what like I love. I was telling someone the other day because I'm older, right? And I said to someone, I try to help women, right? Just in general, because I like to stay fit. And I said to someone, I'm like, you know what? It's really good to find a purpose in life, right? Like, I just couldn't be sitting around, like, I need, like even my boyfriend, like, he likes to box, right?
Mhm.
We have to have some purpose or drive, right? And a lot of women, right? I don't try to be a therapist here, but a lot of, women between 40 and 60, I find a lot of women are bitchy, right? Or they just, like, they're, like, virtue signaling, they're always like, "I need to find something to make me happy,"
Mhm.
or they're like Karens, they're complaining, and they're like, "Ah." But I was like, it's because they have no and a lot of women are actually my biggest enemy in my fight for fairness
Which is
because they're
crazy
always
to
the
think.
ones that are like, "Oh," like, or they're like and then a lot of them are NDP or liberal
Yeah.
because they're like, "Oh, we'll just let these men into our sports. It's okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's all right." And I'm just like, but a lot of these women don't have self-worth and
Mhm.
they don't have self-love and they don't have like self-respect. Well, you can't have self-respect if you don't have self-worth
Mhm.
and don't have self-love. But they seek validation from other things,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's where they get
But
that.
that's where they get it from,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
virtue signaling. Or they come up with these crazy ideologies or ideas, or they get their validation. A lot of women get validation from men,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Back in the day, like women would be like, "Oh, I can sleep with this guy to get my validation." It's true. I was
Mhm.
guilty of it when I was younger.
Mhm.
Sleep with guys, get some, but then you feel like crap the next day, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So anyways, so I said to my friend, I'm like, you gotta start doing something. Like I get my self-worth from competing. Like
Mhm.
I feel good about myself. It gives me like I have like numbers in mind. I want to get those numbers. I love going on stage. I love
Mhm.
like competing. If I don't get gold, if I get silver, great. But it gives me a goal in mind, right?
Mhm.
If I can put that Team Canada uniform on, even better. If I can represent my country, awesome.
Yeah.
But I have a goal in mind, right? But I always have to have something to work towards. But that's what gives me my self-worth, right?
Yeah.
Is working towards something. And, me looking in the mirror and being proud of myself or helping someone, especially helping people, right? Like volunteering or doing something good. That's my self-worth and self-love. And obviously my diet, taking care of myself, eating healthy, taking care, like just everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It seems like you're very aligned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like
aligned,
aligned with
yeah,
like
and
your
spiritual, like,
Yeah.
all these things, right?
with
All
these
these
hard
things.
truths, like these
Yeah.
like aligned with like truth, right? Truth is offensive to so many
Yes.
people, right? But you're like so aligned with that, and like although
But it's
you're
almost like yeah, it's like a pie, and then
Yeah.
all
Mhm.
these slices have to be and that go back to the truth, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like when you said, like, was it easy for you to speak up? Yes, because I can't live with lies. Like
Mhm.
I don't like holding stuff in. I talked to Jordan Peterson, right? He called me on Zoom one day
Wow.
and he has obviously experience with people with addictions, right? He suffered with addiction himself.
Mhm.
And I talk about this all the time. Like part of my recovery is, on my AA coin, my Alcoholics Anonymous coin, it says on the back of it, to thine own self be true. Like that, I carry my coin with me all the time
Mhm.
because that sentence right there is like, you know what? If I start lying to myself, I will relapse.
Yeah.
I have to be true and honest to myself and with others. And then the other side is the serenity prayer, right? Like you can't start lying to yourself and others. Like
Mhm.
again, it's like I said, if you start holding in lies, if you're cheating on your spouse, or you're gonna hold it in, you're gonna start doing bad things,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? It's gonna eat you up,
Yeah.
right?
And like the more tightly you align yourself with the truth, like the more blessings you'll be given.
Exactly.
Like you said, like you had the courage to go through rehab, like fix yourself, fix like that, and then like things just came up, and then Tucker
Yeah.
Carlson talking to Jordan Peterson. I've always wanted to talk to Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like he's like it's just opened so many doors with you sticking to that truth. And I think that's the most powerful like message of your story.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a really good podcast with his wife Tammy. It should be coming out soon. We did it back in April, so
Okay.
she's really late with putting out a podcast. She's interviewed so many people. It was
Yeah.
one of my best podcasts. Apparently, my boyfriend watched it, so
Yeah.
she should be releasing it this year. But
That's amazing.
no, he was really great to talk to. So, but yeah, and I mean, call it karma, call it whatever you want. But I mean, it's true. Like I just feel like it comes back to you when you just,
Yeah.
you tell the truth. So
I kind of want to talk about your hat.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Can you explain us the merch? And
sure. Yeah. So through all of this, another thing I started was my Keep Female Sports female line.
Mhm.
This is one of my favorite hats. So I made t-shirts, we got tank tops. I think that's all we have. Oh, we have mugs, but the hats are great. I mean, we have there's like a beige one that's more of like a summer hat.
yeah.
It's all really good quality. I don't know if obviously people know the Upong brand, but Martina Navratilova, the tennis pro, she's one of my good friends. She ordered the tennis or the beige one.
Nice.
She loves it, but tank tops are really cozy. It's really good high quality stuff. But what else? Yeah, I think it's just t-shirt, tanks, mugs. We have stickers too. We actually just came out with some bumper stickers too.
Oh, cool.
But all the money actually goes towards my advocacy. So when I talk about going out to I've been to Alberta twice, I've been to British Columbia twice to do speeches. I was actually out in Toronto doing a speech for International Women's Day.
Mhm.
So all the money from proceeds from people that order stuff like this just goes towards my travel.
Yeah.
To do my speeches and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
100%.
It's like a way of them just supporting you.
Yeah,
and-
supporting you,
support,
helping
yeah.
you.
yeah.
So
That's
it's
amazing.
so it goes so people order, it goes through a distributor and so it's not a money making thing. This is basically, but what I love about it is anytime I wear this stuff, I always get a high five. And it's funny, I wore my t-shirt to British Columbia, so I'm helping the conservatives out there, and it's a super woke province. It's probably the worst province. It's the one that we're trying to win to beat the NDP coming up with the election. So I was actually afraid to wear my stuff because I was like, oh my God, am I going to get swarmed by a transgender?
Attacked.
So I wore my t-shirt out there. My boyfriend wears his too everywhere he goes. And so I had so many people come up to me. I had old men going, yeah, I love your shirt. And I actually had a pack of high school kids come up and go, where can I get your shirt?
That's awesome.
People were coming up to me, and I said, I actually had more response out there. And a couple of the people in the Conservative Party were like, April, people are just so sick of it. They just want change. It's probably why they're so I was like, oh, cool, right?
It's crazy how there's such a difference between online and real society.
Yeah.
It seems like night and day.
Online
Well,
are
and
the
I
ones
think
who
they were
speak, right?
Well, people are just so chicken. They're people aren't real online, right?
Yeah.
I get so many people behind the scenes thank me. I legit, me and Dr. Linda Blade are really the only female athletes that have spoken up. Put on in public. There's so many people behind the scenes. I don't think that counts. It does not count.
No.
And I have gotten to some arguments with people. I was like, you can say you've spoken up, but unless you put your face out there, none of this hiding behind accounts, okay? It doesn't, sorry, and I don't mean to be rude, but that doesn't count, okay?
It doesn't,
Hiding behind a profile, let alone a fake profile, or just hiding behind an account, unless you have a job and you work for the government or you're a police officer or whatever, and you sometimes share something, that's cool. I get it. I don't want you to lose your job, but if you're an athlete and you're saying you're speaking out and you're not, it's you are, you're not speaking up, that's complacency. When you're just going along with it.
Yeah, you can't speak in the shadows.
You can't speak in the shadows, exactly.
You gotta go in the
yeah
and just talk.
So and I'm not the type of person that's ever wanted credit, but don't come out here and say like you are, because I know who the people are that were that basically put their foot out and like came out with us. Like Dr. Linda Blade has been doing it forever. Maria, she was a strong woman competitor. She came out. She's done a Rebel News interview with me. Kathleen, she was another power lifter. I mean, yeah. I mean, and guess what? No one got fired. No one like lost their jobs. No one got like disciplined. So, you know what I mean?
What's the fear kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't understand it. Like, if anything, it helped. Like, we actually got like tons of people like sending us messages, and it was great. Like, we got a lot of support.
Yeah.
Like, I got worldwide support.
Yeah.
Like, it was amazing. Like,
Yeah.
so.
And
Yeah.
where can they order the merch?
Yeah, so the merch you can get at my website, www.aprilhutchinson.com.
Okay.
And on there, that's my website. You can subscribe to my newsletter, because I have a lot of cool, like even just contests or just to see what's up with me. I don't think I have any speeches coming up anytime soon. I think I'm going back out to Alberta in October. Maybe, fingers crossed, I'll be going out to BC in maybe October, November if they win the election.
Yeah.
But kind of taking the summer off right now. And then just my website. You can also find me on socials like Instagram. It's just April.Hutchinson. I'm on Twitter. If anyone wants to send me a message, I'm always open to chat with new people, make friends. You know, I'm always like, I live downtown. Like, I'm always open to doing more podcasts and just meet people and have coffee.
Yeah. That's amazing.
No, that's amazing. I think
Yeah.
it's like it was extremely important for us to have you on the podcast because like you
100%.
know you're local and you're also doing like these like huge
things.
like things that are actually like moving the needle in a positive way for like society, which like you can't really just say that about anybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like really appreciate like you taking the time to come and sit with us, and I know our audience is gonna appreciate it too, because like Jordan and I we're not scared to talk about all topics, you know what I mean? But this was one that for sure like people are gonna hear it and people are gonna get what they get out of it, but you can't be scared to speak your own truth. Like we all have our own truths, right, in this. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we were able to talk it all out.
Yeah.
No, it was amazing to like even just thank you for like even for doing what you're doing, right? Because it is making a very positive change despite whatever some people will think. Somebody has to speak at some point, and for you to take that leap for everybody and the girls out there, I give you all the praise.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, it was really quite an honor to meet you guys, and yeah,
100%.
maybe we'll do it again down the road.
No,
I was
for
gonna
sure.
say
We would
once
love to have you back. We
once
would
you're
love to
back,
have
we'd
you
love to have
back.
you back. Yeah.
Once I get back competing and
Yeah.
stuff, maybe
There you
I'll
go.
come back. So if I make Team Canada, I'll come back.
Oh, you'll
and
make
I'll
it.
wear
Come
my-
on now.
I'll wear my Team Canada uniform. Well, it's funny. I sold my old Team Canada uniform.
Yeah.
I sold it for $400.
Let's go.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's go.
So I sold it because I was like, nope, I'm gonna get a new one. So
Yeah, exactly. See, that's
What?
awesome.
That one's gonna
I
cost a
love
lot.
that. Right?
Yeah.
The next
In
one's
the
gonna be
future.
with the
yeah,
one.
right.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
So-
for those of you who kept on watching thus far, thank you so much. And you know, we drop weekly episodes. Make sure you stay tuned, and that's
Yeah,
it.
we'll see.
Peace.
Peace.